Hey everyone, my name's Les and welcome to another edition of the Broken Broom Workshop. I've been wanting to upgrade my home entertainment system for a while now. Well, today is that day and I will be installing 4 in-ceiling surround sound speakers. This will involve building speaker enclosures, getting into the attic to mount those enclosures, running wire down a wall, and cutting holes in the ceiling. Most of the other videos I have seen that do this are in tall, wide open attics with plenty of room to move around. I'm not so lucky. My attic is a truss system, and while being big enough and tall enough to stand up, I do have to maneuver and weave my way around all of the structure. I will be using my Denon AVR S720W 7.2 surround sound receiver along with 4 Klipsch flush mount speakers that will complement my existing tower speakers and center channel. The end result will be a 7.1 surround sound system. My Denon receiver is capable of a 7.2, but I only have one subwoofer, which is plenty for what I want, at least for now. Stick around and we'll go through this together. Before I cut any holes or build any enclosures, I did a ton of research on the number of speakers and speaker placement required for what I wanted. Depending on who you talk to or what resource you read, there are many different factors like the size of your room, ceiling height, distance from the TV, seating position, and believe it or not, attic space. And these are just a few of the determining factors. For my environment, I wanted to follow the general rule and place the surround sound speakers in line with my tower speakers, which are on the side of my entertainment center. I decided to place 2 speakers in front of the seating position and 2 speakers just behind the seating position, as shown in this diagram in the yellow circles. I measured for the general location and checked for clearance in the attic. I go into my garage, climb up the ladder, and make my way into the attic so I can get the lay of the land and to locate the area above my living room. My attic is not one of those that has a tall roof and lots of space to walk around. Instead, I have a truss system, and as you can see, I have to weave my way through all of the structure while being careful of all of the nails sticking through the roof sheathing. I locate the AC ducts and registers that are in my living room and use them to reference my position. I take some rough measurements from the AC registers and between the trusses so I can determine where the speakers will go and how big to make the enclosures. Once I get the measurements, I make my way back out of the attic. I transferred those measurements I got from the attic and used a pick tool and poked a hole in the ceiling, then inserted some baling wire long enough to go through the insulation so it could be seen from the attic. I did this for all the speaker locations. Most in-ceiling speaker installations that I have seen in other videos are usually without enclosures, but I'm not a big fan of that. I decided to build enclosures out of 1/2-inch MDF, not only to protect the speakers from the extreme heat my attic gets in the summer. Remember, I live in Central Texas where it gets pretty hot, but also to provide a better sound and bass response. After all the MDF is cut to size, I grab 4 pieces that will eventually become the bottom of the enclosure and mark the center for the speaker cutout. Using the provided template that came with the Klipsch speakers for measurements, I'm able to get the diameter of the hole that needs to be cut out. I pre-drill a 1/8 inch pilot hole where the center of the speaker will be. I install a 1/4 inch straight cut spiral bit into my router, and then using my Milescraft circle jig, I mount the pivot arm using the provided screw that comes in the kit and the pilot hole that I had drilled previously. Then I spin it around to make sure it rotates smoothly. I install the mounting plate that holds the router, then I use the marks to set the diameter according to the scale on the pivot arm. Then I mount the router to the jig. I plunge down about 1/4 inch for the first pass, and because of the direction the bit spins, I rotate the router counterclockwise to make the cut. Using some scrap MDF, I apply double-sided tape, peel the protective paper off, and attach the spacers to the bottom of the panel to raise it up so I don't cut my table. I plunge down until the bit goes through the wood and complete my cutout. Off camera, I did end up putting another spacer in the middle of the cutout for support. I remove the jig, then the pivot arm. I do this for all the speaker cutouts. I start drilling holes in the top panel for the terminal cups that attach each speaker wire. I use a chip brush to clean the pitch off the hole saw for a better cut. I drill halfway down, flip the board, and drill the other half. Again, I do this for all 4 boxes. I start assembling all the boxes by applying glue to all the edges and using brad nails to secure them together until the glue dries. After I get the sides assembled and I know my inside dimensions, I can calculate the airspace it will provide. To do this, I multiply the length by the width by the height, divide that answer by 1728. 1728 is the number of cubic inches in a cubic foot. In my case, I get 0.958 cubic feet, so just under a cubic foot. This is a little much for these speakers, and I could have made the boxes a little smaller, but I was building more for the space between the trusses than the airspace needed by the speakers. Next, I glue and brad nail the panel with the speaker cutout. I apply more glue and attach what will eventually be the top of the box where the speaker terminal cup goes. And as you guessed it, I do this for all 4 boxes. I'm using 2 conductor 14 gauge copper clad aluminum wiring by Garrett. I cut the speaker wire to length that will go inside each box, strip the outer sheathing, then strip the insulation off of each wire. There are tons of options out there for terminal cups, and I chose the square 57mm ones with spring-loaded connectors. I tin the tip of the soldering iron. Tinning is when you add a thin layer of solder to the tip of a hot soldering iron, which transfers the heat faster and promotes better flow of the solder. I also tin each of the wires by placing the soldering iron under the wire, heating them up from the bottom, and applying the solder to the top of the wire and allowing it to flow through. I perform the same process for the terminal cups, being careful not to melt the plastic. The cup kept moving around, so I used a pair of vice grips to lightly clamp it to keep it steady. Next, I soldered the wire to each terminal cup, red to positive, black to negative. The cups have plus and minus symbols, which I have highlighted in white to make it easier to see in the image on the left. Once I finish soldering all the cups, I flip the box over and prepare to install them. To create a good seal, I cut a piece of trunk liner carpet using the terminal cup as a template. Then cut a hole out of the center for it to fit into. Next, I insert the wire and cup into the box, then screw it down securely. Once the boxes are complete, I make my way back into the attic. I bring a small piece of plywood with me so I can span the trusses and have a place to kneel down on. The closer I get to the back of the house, the more the roof starts to slope and the tighter the space gets. Still gotta watch out for those nails. I find the wire that I pushed through the ceiling earlier and clear the insulation away. When I move the insulation around, you can see all the particles that get released into the air, and that's why I wear my respirator up here. It never fails that when I try to do a project like this, something always gets in the way. Here I have some existing wire that runs in the exact place I need to put the speaker box. I measure from the locating wire I originally inserted to approximately where the center of the speaker cutout will be, and I create a hole in the ceiling with the pick tool. I then place the wire through the hole so I can find it easy when looking up at the ceiling later on. I lift the existing wire up and attempt to slide the box underneath, but there doesn't seem to be enough slack. I find that the wiring is caught on a truss plate, and after I free it up, I now have enough room to slide the box in place. I add some blocking to the box, and even though I don't show it, I do add some screws through the blocking and into the truss to secure it in place. Okay, boxes are in. It's hot as hell up here. I just got to finish running the wire, drill a hole in the wall where it goes down the wall to the inside of the house. I located the wall where I want my wiring to exit into my living room. I drilled a 7/8 hole in both top plates. I tied a nut and a bolt to a string and fed it down that hole as a wire fish. I tied the other end of the string to one of the rafters so it wouldn't fall down inside the hole. Off camera, I labeled each wire with its corresponding speaker location and then ran those wires over to the wall. I used electrical tape to tape the wire to the string, and then I pushed it down the hole and down the wall as far as I could. Once the wiring was secured, off camera, I came back up into the attic and filled that hole in the top plate with some expanding foam. I used my oscillating tool to cut a hole in the wall where I want the speaker wires to exit. I locate the string and pulled the wire through. I install a low voltage wall plate adapter and secure it to the wall. I now cut the wire to length, leaving enough excess as a service loop in case I need it later. I stripped the sheathing and insulation and attached them to the spring-loaded terminals. Once everything is connected, I tie wrap the excess wire into a nice neat bundle. Push the extra wire into the wall and secure the speaker wall plate to the wall, then install the trim cover. I use a label maker to create labels for the wall plate that correspond to the speaker location. Makes it easier when I go to connect this up to my receiver.
It's just amazing that I went to Ennis and watched a lot of these guys.
Yeah, and they're still going.
30 years ago.
When they first got into the sport.
Yeah, but they were already awesome at that point. I watched both Pedregons, Doug Coletta, of course John Force. There's so many names I recognize, and I'm like, God, I was going to the Texas Motor Speedway at 16, 17.
That's why I'm surprised you haven't seen Heart Like a Wheel.
Never knew there was a movie about it. Depends on when it came out, what was going on in my life.
It's probably in the 80s.
Okay, so I was like 9.
Hey,
6, maybe.
You ain't got to make me feel like a dirty old man.
I'm pretty sure I didn't know anything about drag racing at that age. And I certainly didn't learn it from my parents.
Contrary to popular belief, I do know how to use a vacuum, or at least the little handheld kind. I remove the locating wire and drill a hole for my router bit. I'm using a router attachment that attaches to my drill with a flush cut router bit, and I use the speaker cutout in the box as a guide. Unfortunately, this will throw drywall dust everywhere and make a huge mess. So I covered the furniture and floor in plastic and employed my wife to assist with a vacuum cleaner and an old Cool Whip bowl. It was a help, but drywall dust still got everywhere. The speakers I will be using are Klipsch model number CDT-3650-C-II in-ceiling speakers. They are 6.5 inch two-ways where the woofer cone pivots and the tweeter is fully adjustable to make tuning a breeze. Each speaker has a built-in crossover for frequency control and spring-loaded wire terminals. I loosely add a little polyfill to the boxes to deaden any hollow sound that might occur. Then I add a few screws to secure the drywall to the enclosure. Next, I attach the speaker wire to the speaker terminals and push everything into the hole. The speaker housing has built-in tabs that clamp down and secure the speakers as you tighten the screws. I tighten them up just a little, adjust the speaker towards the seating position, then tighten them up the rest of the way. The last step is to attach the magnetic speaker grill for a clean look. When routing out the hole for this speaker, I accidentally cut the wire with the router bit, so I took a short piece of wire as an extension, stripped the outer sheathing, stripped the insulation off the wire, and added heat shrink to each wire. Then I soldered them up. I used the heat from the exhaust of my soldering iron to shrink the heat shrink. Now that this goof up was fixed, I installed this speaker the same as I did the others. I mix up some drywall compound to fill the holes that I created when putting in the location wires. Once this dries, I will touch up with a little ceiling paint. Off camera, I ran wires from the speaker wall plate to my surround sound receiver and ran the calibration procedure that Denon provides. The ceiling has been touched up, everything is finished. It sounds incredible. I really like the way this looks with those surface mount grills. I love the fact that they're magnetic, and if I need to adjust anything, pull them down real quick and adjust them. That wraps this one up. Now it's time to sit back and watch a movie. Days of Thunder, The Matrix, Jurassic Park. Decisions. Oh hell, I'll just watch all three. Thank you for watching, and if this is the type of thing you like to watch, please consider subscribing and hit that thumbs up. I'll see you in the next one.